بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Fiqh al-Muamalat online course. And today's topic is a continuation of the discussions of the Gharar. And we have started in the previous sessions talking about the scope of the Gharar. And we have mentioned in the previous one that the scope of Gharar could be related to the expression of the contract, meaning is related to the offer and acceptance. And we have covered that. And today we'll talk about the second scope of the Gharar, whereby the Gharar is related to the subject matter, meaning that to the object sold. And as you know, it could be a price or could be a good. So it is not related to the offer and acceptance, and it is not related to the term and condition, but related to the subject matter or to the object sold. And we have different types of Gharar with regard to the subject matter. Number one, the first one is basically the Gharar which is related to the essence of the object itself, meaning that you don't know what you are buying. So contract has been concluded, but when we check the subject matter, mahallul aqd, so the subject matter has not been identified. You don't know exactly what you are buying. So there is an absence of the subject matter. It could be there, but it was not disclosed. So from Sharia standpoint or from the contract and legal standpoint, you don't know what you are buying. So the Gharar basically hits the essence of the object itself. And if you don't know what you are buying, whether you are buying a car or you are buying a mobile or you are buying a TV, so respectively, you don't know the types, the specifications, and the other related items. So that's the first Gharar. It is related to the essence of the object itself. The second type of the Gharar, basically, it is ignorance, it is lack of information, it is a kind of jahala, is a kind of uncertainty, but related to the type of the commodity sold. Meaning that the type of the commodity sold is not clear for the two contracting party. And here, some of the examples that could be given is basically a car. So a car has been identified as an object or as a subject matter for the contract. But what kind of car? Is it Toyota? Is it Honda? Is it Proton? Is it Ford? What kind of car? So basically, car as an asset has been identified, but the type of the car has not been identified. So that's created a Gharar as well. The same example could be given in the money changer or the sarf, exchange of money. For example, you have dollars and you give dollars to be exchanged, but the type of currency has not been identified. So is it US versus Euro? Is it US versus Ringgit Malaysia? Is it versus Thai Baht? Is it versus Rial, Dirham, Dinar? We don't know exactly. So again, a sarf has been identified, dollar has been identified, but the counter value of the US dollars has not been identified, meaning a type of the commodity or the type of the asset or the type of the object for the subject matter has not been identified, so it's a create as well a Gharar. The third type of Gharar under the this scope, which is related to the subject matter, that could be, as I mentioned, a price or a goods, is basically the ignorance of the lack of information, which is related to the sold commodity in particular, meaning that a commodity has been sold but is not being specified and has not been identified. And the example we can give is that you have purchased something in the showroom. You have agreed to purchase something in the showroom, but let's say a car, showroom for cars, but in that showroom, the car has not been identified. Which car you are referring to? Because we may have few cars, even within the same brand. For example, if you go to Toyota, If you go to Toyota showroom, you may have, for example, a Camry, you may have other types of what's so called Toyota. I forgot the brands. So which one of this Toyota you want to buy? Is it a or a Honda, for example? Is it a Civic? Is it a Accord, a Honda? What kind of car you are buying? Is it a Toyota Camry? Is it a Corona? What kind of car you are buying in this showroom? So again, showroom has a limitation, yes. The brand of the car has been identified, yes. The specific types of the car has been limited within the showroom, yes, but no specific car has been identified for the sales transaction. So this is what we call a lack of information related to the identifications or the specifications of the object. And this one may lead to some kind of ignorance and create a form of gharar which may impact the validity of the contract. In other words, if you are in the showroom of Proton, Toyota, Honda, Ford, any car, then basically you have to, from this list, you have to identify the car. So when the car has been identified, again, even within that car, there are other types and other specifications, so you have to agree on in order to make the contract clear and conclude and avoid any kind of dispute between the two parties. So you have to identify precisely what you are buying. And the other one is basically the gharar, which is related to the lack of information related to the specification, of the commodity or the object. Example give, if for example you buy a laptop, you identify the laptop, which is maybe HP, you identify the series, but within that series or that model, there are specifications related to the hard disk capacity, maybe related to the memory capacity, related to the size of what's so called speed of the processor. So all these speed of processor, size of the hard disk, the memory characteristics and speed and size will determine and impact the price. So again, those specifications, they have to be agreed upon, and of course the specification become very crucial when the commodity is not present, meaning the asset is not present during the conclusion of the contract, meaning it is elsewhere, meaning we are buying based on the description. Sometimes the mobile is here, so you can see the mobile or whatever asset you have. Let's say you have, this is an asset, so you can see the asset, then you can see some of the specifications, then you can ask some information, then you make your decision. But if the asset is not here, so the decision of buying will be based on the specifications. So if the specifications are not provided, so you cannot come up with the very a strong opinion to express your consent or your acceptance, and a possible dispute may take place because you may find out there are some specifications are not there or not found there, or you expect that some specifications should be there, but they found that they are not there. Then again, the dispute may take place. So this kind of gharar is related to the specification, and when it comes to the specification, is a very crucial in the istisna, as we are going to discuss inshallah in the future when we talk about salam and istisna. We will see that the descriptions is less important to some extent to the salam, because they are governed by standard generic specification, but when it comes to the istisna, is very crucial because it is a very customized in nature. Hence specifications are very crucial. They have to be disclosed, they have to be agreed upon, and sometimes you may reject based on the defect or non-compliance with the specification. The fifth types of gharar, which is the last one under the scope of the subject matter, is basically the ignorance, which is related lack of information, lack of ignorance, uncertainty in the amount that you are buying, the amount of the commodity that you are buying. Sometimes you don't know how many pieces, how many kg, how many tons you are buying. Is it one mobile, two mobile, three mobiles? Is it one TV, two TV? Is it one car, five cars? Is it 1 ton, 2 tons? Is it 50 kg? Is it 10 kg? So what's the quantity you are buying? So you cannot buy something without determinations of the quantity. So this is all could be in a form of specifications, I mean, related to the detailed specification of the subject matter, related to the quantity, related to the specification and to the quality of the what's so called the subject matter. As a result of that, the quantity must be determined. You are buying 1 metric ton of dates, you are buying 1 piece of mobile, you are buying 3 pieces of eggs, and so on and so forth. Determination of the amount will provide clarity and reflect the price that should be exchanged. Ignorance of the quantity may lead to some kind of dispute and create a gharar in the subject matter. Of course, here you may tell me that there are some transactions which are based on bulk, like for example, Bay'ul Juzaf. Bay'ul Juzaf is a kind and a form of sales which is known as sales of unknown amount, meaning you are buying something but without knowing how much exactly, how many pieces you are buying. And this one normally is a kind of transactions where the transaction is based on bulk. For example, clothes, for example, it depends here. Basically, the market will determine what are the commodities which are subject to the Bay'ul Juzaf through bulks, and what are the commodity which is not subject to this kind of transaction. So basically, the urf, the market, will be very helpful to determine and distinguish what kind of commodity should be subject to Bay'ul Juzaf or not. But Bay'ul Juzaf, normally it is a sales transactions based on bulk without determination of the amount. For example, you see a truck full of clothes, second-hand clothes, for example, mixed. So basically, you roughly price the amount of that clothes without, of course, counting how many pieces you are buying. So again, this one, scholars put some condition. One of them that during the bulk transactions of Bay'ul Juzaf, you should be present, meaning you see the commodity. Number 2, it's a practice in the market, but this kind of commodity is sold that way in a bulk. And number 3, that normally the attention and the focus of the transactions is the bulk, not the individual pieces. Meaning that you may have 1 or 2 defects, or 1 or 2 does not comply with the specification, doesn't impact the contract, because we are looking at the bulk transactions. And the other thing is that there is a need for that, and this is why the Sharia scholars say if you apply the strict Sharia rules on Bay'ul Juzaf, by right Bay'ul Juzaf should not be allowed. Why? Because there is an ignorance of the underlying amount that you are buying. But Sharia allowed it based on haja, and because some kind of commodity is very difficult to count and to check the units and the pieces in order to buy it, but there is a tendency in the market and practice in the market, and also there is a tendency of forgiveness of some of the possible discrepancies in the transactions, because that sales is a bulk sales, not individual sales. And if it is so, Sharia allowed it because of the need and to make the life of people easy, and what's so called the create flexibility and remove hardship and mashaqqa from the practice in the business transaction. But again, this is left to the urf, it is left to the market, you know what kind of commodities that's subject to the bulk transactions and the other which are not related or subject to the bulk transactions or Bay'ul Juzaf. So this is the 5 types of gharar which are related to the second scope, which is related to the subject matter, price and goods. With that, thank you very much, and see you inshallah in the coming session. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.